Monster Hunter is a series that I, for whatever reason, just never got into. Back when it first released on the PlayStation 2, I never picked it up, never played it. Same when it came to the 3DS, never picked it up, never played it. But with the release of Monster Hunter World on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, I decided to check it out. I figured now was the perfect time to get into the series and see why so many people love it, and just to see why it's one of the most beloved gaming franchises currently out right now, I guess. So, for those of you who don't know, Monster Hunter is basically a series where you go in and you hunt monsters, you take down these giant creatures, all with different characteristics and abilities, and you take their parts and you use them to upgrade your weapons and your armor. So and once you do that, you can take on tougher enemies, tougher monsters, and just sort of progress down the line. There is a story to Monster Hunter World, although it's not really anything substantial. It's not going to win any awards or anything like that. More so just a vehicle to go from one hunt to another. But the story is pretty cool. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was interesting. And like I said, it's a really great way to just sort of think about, or just sort of to experience the other monsters and to just sort of take them out. So that's really cool. So that's the basic premise of Monster Hunter. There's tons of different weapons you can pick from as well. There's the dual blades, there's the bow, there's the switch axe, the sword and shield, the great sword. Tons of different weapons you can pick from. Again, all very unique and all with their own different characteristics. And then once you have a weapon, you can upgrade that weapon as well. You can use the materials that you get from certain monsters and then use them to upgrade your weapons to make them stronger, to have different abilities and different elements and different things like that. So it's very important to make sure that you upgrade your weapons and your armor as well. You can use those parts from monsters and upgrade your armor to make them stronger and again have better abilities and some different things as well. And that was one thing that I didn't do when I first started playing Monster Hunter World. I was getting in and I kind of hit a wall with a certain monster and I couldn't progress. I kept dying in one hit from the monster and I was like, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? So I did some research online and was talking to some friends about it, and they're like, hey, Dingus, you have to upgrade your armor and upgrade your weapons and do these different types of things and you'll get stronger. You can take on tougher enemies. And once I did that, it was much easier. So very important to make sure that you upgrade your armor and you upgrade your weapons as well. So one other thing that I didn't really realize when I first started playing Monster Hunter World was that there is a hunter's notebook that sort of tells you some different things and a lot of different information. It can tell you once you gain research on a certain monster, it can sort of tell you the things that you can get from it when you defeat it. It'll tell you its weaknesses, whether it's an ailment or an elemental attack, as well as its weak spots. So it's very important to consult your hunter's notebook. And one thing too that I found with the Hunter's Notebook is it also tells you a bunch of different information regarding your weapons. So there is a training area that you can go to within Monster Hunter World that sort of lets you pick a weapon and just sort of run around this area and just play around with it. It does list some different button prompts for different combos and just some different abilities, but I had no idea what they did. So for example, the weapon that I currently use and the one that I really like using the most are the dual blades. And I went in and there's this prompt that says demon mode to press RT to enter demon mode. So I pressed it and my character did this animation where he put his hands in the air and he started glowing red. I'm like, okay, that's cool. No idea what it means, but that's cool. So if you go to your Hunter Notebook, you can actually read up on what demon mode is, and it basically makes you move faster and your attacks are a little bit stronger, and it's just always good to sort of be in that mode when taking on monsters. So I kind of wish that it would have said, unless I missed it, that like, hey, the Hunter's Notebook is very important, make sure you read it so you can understand what the hell's going on. So I kind of wish there was I guess a little bit better of a tutorial for newcomers. But like I said, you can just go to your Hunter's Notebook and sort of read all that, but at first I didn't really realize that was there. So that's just one sort of gripe that I had with it, but yeah, the Hunter's Notebook is very important to upgrade weapons and armor, and the monsters that you take on to sort of upgrade your weapons and armor are all very cool. That's one of the really great things about Monster Hunter World that I love, is that all the monsters, there are a few clone monsters, I guess you would call them, but a lot of them all have very different attacks, very unique characteristics about them. You've got the Tobi Kadachi, which is this really cool like lizard type fox electric thunder cat thing. I don't even know, but it looks really cool. It's white and it's got like this spiky tail, but it also looks scaly too. Very strange, very interesting, but it uses thunder attacks. So it's important to have like thunder resistant armor and different things like that. So you've got the Tobikadachi, you've got the Puki, which is like this really weird bird-like creature with a really colorful tail that spits poison at you. Very interesting. You've got the Anjanath, which is like, it looks like a standard T-Rex, but it can breathe fire, and then it has a certain mode that makes it sprout wings and has like this weird bone thing on its head. It's very strange, but all the monsters within Monster Hunter World look very awesome and very unique, and they all have different move sets, different abilities that they have to sort of take you out. And it's just really cool to see them for the first time and just adapt to them and see what their attacks are and different things like that. And like I said, Tobikadachi, for example, uses thunder attacks. So, and one other, I'm sorry, there's a lot of things in my head right now. Each monster sort of has its own weakness and different things that it's weak to. So, for example, I believe the Anjanath, which has fire attacks, is weak to water. So if you're using a fire weapon against the Anjanath, you're probably not going to do as much damage as you would if you were using a water weapon, for example. So doing research on the monsters, so when you're in the area where the monster is, a lot of times you'll find some footprints or just some different traces that the monster leaves behind. So it's important to check those out and raise the research level of that monster so you can understand and just get a better glimpse of what the monster is and what its weaknesses are. So very important to do that, very important to see what its weaknesses are and seeing if you can craft some different weapons in order to exploit those weaknesses. So Monster Hunter World has a lot of depth into it. I knew that going in, but I didn't really understand the extent of it until I really started playing and just sort of understanding what's going on. So that's basically the gist of Monster Hunter World. Like I said, I've been using the dual blades quite a bit. I've got a few of them. I've got a thunder-based one. I've got a dragon-based one. I'm working on an ice one right now, and it just looks really cool. It's cool to have those different kinds of weapons and to equip them when you go to fight different monsters and different things like that. Like I said, there is a sort of a story mode to it. There are assigned quests that you can do, and once you complete one, another one unlocks. You can also do optional quests where you can get in and just sort of hunt a specific monster. Let's say you want to get a Tobikadachi dual blades. You can go in and get the required materials to do that. You can fight the Tobikadachi, get the required materials, and make that weapon, so on and so forth. So you can kind of go back and fight monsters that you've already fought before. So really good replay value there. Really awesome to see that. Also, there are investigation quests that you can go in and take out these certain monsters with specific conditions, and the rewards can be a little bit better as well. So it's always good to see what investigations are out there so you can get better rewards as well. One other really cool thing is that you can play online with people fairly easily within this game. There's what's called SOS quests, which is kind of hard to say, but you go in and you can see people that have called for help if they're fighting a specific monster. You can go in and say, okay, I want to fight a Tobikadachi, but I don't really think I'm that strong enough yet. Let me see if anyone's fighting them so I can have some help in doing that. So you can go in, you can search specifically for that monster. You can go in, you can see what people have called for help, and you can join their quest, which is really cool. It's just a really unique way to do that. So I remember I was fighting, I can't remember who I was fighting, but I was fighting some tough monster, and I felt like, you know, it might be kind of nice to have some help. So you can send out an SOS flare, and people will just join your quests and they will help you fight that monster. It was really cool, and it's a lot of fun, especially to have help from other people. It's really cool to go in and help other people yourself as well. So it's just a really great mechanic, and one that I think is pretty cool. So I'm really glad that that's in the game as well. Let's see what else. The environments within this game are fantastic. There's the Coral Highlands, which looks like it's underwater, which looks really neat. There's the Wildspire Wastes, which is like this giant desert area. There's the Ancient Forest with a lot of foliage and just trees and different things like that. All the environments look really unique and very colorful, a lot like the monsters, which is really neat to see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, like I said, weapons, there's tons of different weapons to pick from. All of them have unique abilities. The monsters are all really great as well. Tons of different things to collect and craft. You can craft potions. You can craft a bunch of different ammo for your guns. You can get different coatings for your bow. So there's like a poison coating, a paralysis coating. All have different varying effects on whatever monster it is that you're fighting. So again, it's important to make sure you read up on the monsters and understand what they're weak to and what they're not weak to. So just tons of different, a lot of different content in here, tons of replayability. The game can be tough, especially if you're like me and not paying attention to things that you can upgrade and different things like that. But so far, for me, I'm really loving Monster Hunter World. I think it's a fantastic game. I'm quite far within the story. Actually, I did complete the main story, and now I'm kind of doing the post-game stuff, which is very tough. So it's, again, important to make sure you upgrade everything. But the game is a ton of fun. I love playing it. I love playing it online with my friends. Just going in and just taking out these giant monsters, seeing all these different armor sets that you can collect, and all the different weapons that you can make as well. It's just a ton of fun. Just a very addicting game. It's very hard to put it down. And now I can understand why so many people love Monster Hunter. And I have to say, Monster Hunter World is a great game. Really glad I bit the bullet and took the chance to pick it up, because I'm having a blast with it. So if you're ever stuck on Monster Hunter World, just see if you can do some research online, or always check your Hunter's Notebook. It's very valuable. Also, shout out to a YouTuber named Rurikon. I think I said his name right. He actually has a ton of weapons overview videos talking about the specific weapons within Monster Hunter World. He gets into that training area, picks a weapon, just sort of talks about it, talks about the good things, talks about some things you should look out for, gives sort of a brief rundown on the combos and just some of the different techniques that each weapon has, and it's very, very helpful. That's actually how I figured out about Demon Mode as opposed to the Hunter's Notebook. So again, very important to check that out. So shout out to him for sort of explaining things a little bit better. But like I said, Monster Hunter World, fantastic game, really great just gameplay, tons of fun, really great to pull off these combos and just different things that you can do to take these monsters out. The monsters themselves are fantastic, they're huge, they look really cool, they have a lot of unique ability. Sorry, my iPhone ran out of storage there, so I apologize for the jump cut. But like I was saying, Monster Hunter World is a fantastic game. If you're interested in any kind of action RPG, I believe that's what this would be called. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But if you've ever wanted a chance to get into the series, I think Monster Hunter World is a fantastic way to get into the series. It's a lot of fun, a lot of great things to do, lots of different monsters to tackle and take out, a ton of fun. So I believe that's it. I think I've sort of talked about everything that I wanted to talk about from a newbie's perspective on Monster Hunter World. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to go back and play some more because it's, like I said, it's awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment. Are you sort of on the fence about Monster Hunter World? Are you a veteran? Did I explain things kind of well? Is there anything that I need to look out for? Different things like that. Let me know what your thoughts are on Monster Hunter World. If you're a newbie yourself, I'd love to hear from you guys. So anyway, like I said, that's going to do it today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope you guys have a fantastic day. Take care.